Hi, my name is Will, and welcome to another episode of Getting to Know You. I'm talking to a guy called Andrew Treeby from Ding Dong Lounge. How are you?
Good, thank you.
During my hunt for the elusive facts about the human name Andrew Treeby, I discovered that you've been involved in promotion and the New Zealand music scene for considerably longer than I had even imagined. I found some music videos you'd made for bands such as Prolepsis in 2009. You'd done some interview factoid promo videos called The Band Diaries around the same time, and you've been the entertainment manager for Ding Dong Lounge since its opening date in 2013. So it's pretty busy. You're
Yep.
also a vocalist for a band that began in 2001 called Amber, which, according to MuzicNZ, had a single called Sexual Leader D. And I'll put a little insert here so people can enjoy that.
That wasn't mine. I had nothing to do with that.
It's actually a woman called Amber, and the track is a cheesy dance club hit from about 2000. So some wires got crossed somewhere.
I wish I could take credit for that.
You'll probably be a far richer man for it. That aside, though, it seems you're a man of many talents, so I thought we might let people know a little bit more about who this Andrew Treeby is. So can we start with your childhood, perhaps, where you were born, raised, that kind of thing?
I'm a shore boy from the North Shore of Auckland. Don't hold it against me. Lived in the city for about 15 years. Now I have a family. I'm back on the shore.
When did you sort of first become involved with music, and what was the highest point of success with music for you to date?
So I guess I started playing music quite young, 6 or 7 years old or something like that. Started with the recorder. I played the trumpet, bass. My brother was a drummer, so I never really played the drums officially, but I was always playing his kit. Yeah, I guess I was in all the orchestras and the jazz bands and the band geek back then. But I liked rock music as well. So I started a band, played in the Rock Quest a few years with my brother, my younger brother. We didn't really do well. I think towards the end of school, I started a band, and that is Amber, I guess. We made it through to the regional finals. A lot of people were reaching for these opportunities that they talked about, and for me, it was about creating the opportunities. So I started trying to put on all ages shows, at least in the area that I was, around the shore. So, and answer to your question, what was my highest success? I mean, I guess in a rock band, we made it through to the regional finals, but from there, it was about, okay, what more can we do with this? We started a bands competition, a North Shore bands competition, similar to what the Ding Dong Lounge bands competition is today. I think it went until the mid to late 2000s. Someone else took it over.
So you kind of started out being a musician yourself, and then you sort of shifted into more of a sort of a promoter role.
Yeah, I had more fun, to be honest. So, and I think when I stopped playing music, I used to play. In the end, the rest of the band members were Gray from These Four Walls and Brad from These Four Walls. I think they played at the last show we ever played, and they said that they weren't keen to keep it going, and I was like, right, I'm actually keen not to keep it going as well. Let's do some. I just kept doing all the gigs behind the scenes. I was very happy being the behind the scenes person. My success has been doing everything behind the scenes rather than performing.
Do you still dabble in music, or is your life too busy with work and family commitments?
Sometimes I think maybe I'll start singing in a band again. But yeah, I mean, I like right now, jam night is being set up behind me. Sometimes I get up and play the drums. Very occasionally I sing, but it's all for fun. I don't really have much time to take anything more seriously than that.
So how did your involvement with Ding Dong come to pass? Like you're sort of like putting these things on yourself, and then around 2013, because there was already one in New York and one in Melbourne, I believe, and then for some reason one in New Zealand cropped up. So how did your sort of connection there take place?
A bit that I haven't mentioned, I worked for a band called The Rabble, a punk rock band, from maybe 2003 to about 2009, 10, I think. What I wanted to do is I wanted to tour overseas with the band. That was kind of my goal. So the Rebel had success in New Zealand, and we did a bunch of tours around New Zealand. They released a whole lot of albums. So after I did like a 6-month tour with them in Europe, I was like, right, I've reached my goal. It's a lot of work. Now it's time to take a break from music and try and make some money.
Right.
Because, for all the years I'd been doing stuff, I hadn't made a cent. I'd spent more money than I'd, doing it for the love. My work in TV, that's what I do as a day job. Took it more seriously for a while before there's something itching inside of me. Where I was like, right, I got to do, I think I started DJing first. I did a little bit at Deschler's, and then there was another place called Joe's Diner, which was the back bar of Forte, which was like a hip hop club. Matt, who's my business partner here at Ding Dong Lounge, he owned Forte. He said, hey, I'm opening another bar. Back then, I was like, I'm not sure. Yes, I want to be involved. I'm not sure how involved I want to be, but, here's some ideas that I think might work. I ended up becoming, it wasn't planned that I would become the entertainment manager or, part owner later. But yeah, I ended up booking the DJs. That's what we started with. We never planned to have live music here. It was this room that we're in right now. It was going to be used for VIP stuff or 21sts or, that sort of thing. It didn't have a stage, didn't have a PA. Maybe once a month or something, we would put on a show. Like
Right.
That's definitely as much capacity as I had, as much capacity as I thought I had. But as we opened, just bands kept contacting us. Can we play? Can we play? Can we play? And we're like, well, we don't really have any gear. So I think we first got a vocal PA, and that was thrashed. The bands played on the stage. Then we got a sub to go with that vocal PA, built a stage, bought some light. Yeah, it was built up. I think I've gone off track. I'm like telling the story of Ding Dong rather than how I got involved.
Telling me the story of Ding Dong speaker by speaker.
That's very important to me though, because we had no money. So everything we put into it, everything we bought was very carefully considered. And what's our budget? And, we've had a lot of bands coming in like that criticize, and we're like, well, fuck you, we don't have any money, and, play somewhere else. No, we weren't quite like that.
The two other Ding Dong lounges, of course, since then have shut doors. I don't know exactly when they shut doors or why, but the New Zealand one sort of lives on. Did that surprise you at all? That you would in fact be the sort of remaining bastion of Ding Dong?
No, it doesn't surprise me because it's really hard. And there's so little money to be made. Bill Nolan, who is the founder of Ding Dong Lounge in New York, he was no longer involved by that point. I can't remember whether it was a landlord decision or the people who are running it in the end decided, but I remember some hipster bar, fashionable, changing of the area, I guess. They decided they wanted a different bar than a shitty punk rock dive bar.
Gentrification, perhaps. Yeah.
In Melbourne, I think they'd just, from what I'd heard, they weren't making a lot of money. It was hard. There are other venues, so they just decided to call it quits. Don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong.
I guess since the sort of the King's Arms closed in Auckland as well, that kind of pushed a lot of patronage your way as well, I guess.
We weren't competing with the King's Arms. When we were first open, it felt very much like people thought we were trying to compete with the other venues, and we saw it the opposite. The more stuff that's happening in the scene actually promotes the scene, and more people become involved in it. More people want to, more people listening. The bands that were playing King's Arms weren't playing Ding Dong Lounge. We had a shitty PA. We didn't have a stage. It wasn't a proper music venue. It was just like a come in and play to 10 of your friends back then. Maybe a couple of bands played here more often because of the closure of King's Arms, but I think those bands that they found it quite hard to fill the King's Arms in the first place. But I mean, around the time we opened, the live music scene was smaller than I remember it. From the year 2000 to 2010. 3 years later, when we opened, it felt like it wasn't as big.
There was also a fundraiser to help you during the COVID lockdowns that got over 20K of donations to keep the venue running, which I think shows how valued the venue is to local bands. Was that show of support a surprise at all?
No, it wasn't a surprise because I know how much people like, how important live music is to people. And I don't think they're necessarily supporting Ding Dong Lounge. I think it was much bigger than that. They were supporting all live music venues. The people that, and it wasn't just bands donating money. It was fans, and some of them may have never been to Ding Dong Lounge, but when Save Our Venues, who are the group of people who sort of ran that campaign with a lot of music venues, it was the cause of saving all the New Zealand music venues that I think raised that money. But we did have a lot of support from our from the people that play here, the people that visit as well.
You just finished up the Ding Dong Lounge bands competition. I think that's a great way for struggling bands to sort of get their first step up the publicity ladder, if you will, with the mentoring, the studio time, the music video, and the promo that comes with winning first place. How did it go this year, and who was the winner?
It was awesome. So many decent bands. I love the bands competition, but it sucks that they can't all win.
Sure.
I just feel so bad for the bands that don't make it through. I think most of them do get a lot out of it. The fact that they're meeting other bands, they're comparing themselves with each other, they're looking at what they can do better, and all that. That's sort of the sort of mindset. But there's definitely a community feel among the bands. I've said it before. It feels like every year that we do it, there is like a community, and for the next couple of years, those bands often keep playing with each other, and they bring other new bands into their mini scene that they create. So I think that's probably happened again. You'll see some of the bands that have played the bands competition playing together again. The band that won was a band called Lost Vessels. They're sort of like a pop punk emo band. I think the last time we had a band win of that genre or a similar genre was Full State back in 2016 or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, they write great songs. The performance was great.
I'll try and get them on for an interview at some point and see if I'm going to learn more about them. So the last question, I guess, what does the future hold for Ding Dong, do you think? And by extension, you, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, look, I often wonder how much longer I can keep doing this for. It's so much work. But, obviously I get a lot of love out of doing this. I don't, financially, there's not a lot of reward. It's time away from my family. But there's, I always say to people, there's so much more we could be doing. With the potential is endless. It's just time. And if we had an endless amount of people passionate about live music and creating a scene, then I'm sure we'd go really far. But we're a small venue. We hold, the live music part holds about 100 people, a little bit more. Downstairs, which is where, the DJs, lounge, booths, all that sort of thing, that's another 150 or something. We're always talking about, could we find a larger space? So potentially we could start running events in a larger space. That's maybe what we'll do. It's in the back of our heads, back of our minds. Whether that happens or not, it really depends on the right opportunity that pops up.
Right. Makes sense. All right, Andrew. Well, thanks very, very much for filling me in. I learned quite a bit tonight. It was great. All the best with Ding Dong Lounge, and you and your family, and best of luck for Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff.
Cheers, you too.
Maybe I'll speak to you again maybe next year or something, and we can expand on this story.
Great, awesome. Thanks, Will.
Thanks for watching.